Because the thing is, like, I find I can understand the issue between North and South language. I really can, because each one wants to hold true to its language, but there are way too many languages in India. And then when one ends up dominating the discourse, the rest are gonna separate and disappear. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know how it's gonna go about doing it. I really don't, unless they like immediately say, you know what, we're give up. English is gonna be the national language. Because you can't win. You can't win because the people in the South want their language. The people in the North want their language. And then people in the rural communities would rather have their language. So it's a losing battle. It's a losing battle. Origins of North-South divide in India.
Divide. There is diversity for North India versus South India divide. Let me ask this basic question. Is there a divide in first place? Of course there is divide. There is diversity. Whether you call it as divide or not is a different.
Well, it's funny. The diversity divide, I can't understand. Like the section between like people thinking they're superior and people thinking they're inferior or whatever. That's something I can't understand. The language barrier is something I can understand. I can absolutely understand that. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Matter, but there is diversity. For every 150 kilometers, the culture, the food habits, the way people speak, it changes across Bharat. And that's not only special to Bharat alone. If you take a look into European nations or Africa, this kind of diversity is very common in any human civilization. And there is absolutely no problem with such kind of diversity. But when that diversity is weaponized as a fault line to discriminate people one against other, that is where problems start. Even a primary school child knows that British colonized divide and rule policy in Bharat. And what you're going to see is one of the worst things that was ever happened to India in terms of language. How divide and rule policy infected the country of India on a linguistic grounds. Talking of language, let me make my position.
If they want to make, if they want Hindi to be the national language, they need to involve South Indians' words into Hindi as well, as Hindi itself is a mixture of all northern languages. And what's funny is even English has been mixed in. Even English has been mixed in. Like, who says Gusilkana? Who does? Raise your hands. Raise your hands if you say it. I say it. I say it, and everyone laughs at me. Because guess why? Everyone says washroom. Everyone says washroom. And there are a ton of words in Hindi that actually substitute English. They substitute English instead because it's far too difficult. Like, what is it? Like, I think even left and right are used in Hindi, right? Because they don't use the by, die. It just, they're way too similar. Way too freaking similar. And that's the thing. I can understand how they would have to integrate some words into the language. That's the best way to do it. You unify. It's just like, oh, this seems like a very common word. We can start throwing that out instead. This word sounds a little weird compared to other words. Like Guselkana, the reason why people don't like it is because, well, Ghana. Are you eating in the restroom? They just, it's weird. It's weird. It's weird, especially trying to learn it. It's like, why the heck is Ghana in here? Why? But I do it because it's funny. It just sounds funny to me. So I use it, but nobody uses it anymore. So it could make sense where they substitute it. So you make sense. They have to involve like a lot of South Indians' language. It has to start being replaced. Yeah.
Absolutely clear. I am a Telugu speaking person. My mother tongue is Telugu. But because of my profession, if I happen to stay in Delhi, I should learn Hindi and I have to speak in Hindi. And there is no two ways about it. I cannot expect
or English. That's pretty common as well.
People of Delhi to understand and speak to me in Telugu. I should call myself an idiot if I expect that.
Yep.
Now, imagine I'm from Delhi and my mother tongue is Hindi. And because of my profession, for whatever reason, I happen to stay in Bengaluru. Then I should learn Kannada and
India is the second country in the world where most populations speak English after US. Yes. Yes, there's 1.2 billion people in India. And even if a small percentage of them speak English, it's already most than the majority of European nations. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's just like that. There are just so many people, and a lot of people speak English. So of course, yeah, the majority.
Converse with people in Kannada also, besides English, which obviously would be a professional medium of communication. But I expect everyone to speak and understand Hindi in Bangalore, then I should call myself an idiot. But in none of these.
Okay, now if you're talking about someone going on a vacation, it's a different thing. It's a different thing. If you're going on a vacation, then you're not expected to really learn the language. You're expected to go to a tourist trap to where most people will speak English or be multilingual and understand most languages. That's normally how those tourist traps work. And there's enough people there. Now, if you're going somewhere to live, you are expected to learn the language. Like for me, I'm learning Hindi because I'm planning on having a house in India to live, a few months, maybe half the year. Half the year in India, half the year in the US. We haven't completely figured that all out, but we still need to get situated here in the US, then we get situated in India. That's just how it's going to be. Have a primary home and a secondary home. It'd just be nice because there's a lot of family in India. There's a lot of family here. It'd just be nice to split the time. So I would learn Hindi because I'd be primarily in northern India. If I moved to South India, I'd learn the local language. What? That means I'm divorced. That's what she said, not me. But no, I if I'm traveling there, I wouldn't learn the language. I would just speak English. I'd speak English. But that's just if you're traveling somewhere, you're just respectful of the people there too. You don't belittle them. You never should belittle them, especially if you're a tourist. People are saying Hinglish, Banglish, Teglish, to Tamlish, and AI are now capable now and are just text, but TTS to text to speech or speech to speech. I mean, yeah, they do have those in-ear translators now. I mean, I basically have it. I have the ones that go in my ear and they can listen to a language and repeat it to me like in real time. In real time. Of course, I need to turn it on at every moment, but they're getting more and more advanced to pick it up.
Scenarios, I or anyone should hate any language. That is absolute stupidity. Why would you hate any language? If you're comfortable, you learn it, else just ignore it. But under no circumstances, you should be having hatred towards any language. But unfortunately, the reality is there is a sense of hatred towards Hindi from certain pockets in the southern part of India. In the next couple of minutes, you will...
And vice versa. That you can't just say one way. I mean, he's from the South. So he's trying to go from a South perspective, being like, oh, there's hatred towards Hindi, but it does go both ways. It really does go both ways.
Understand why is it so? Why Hindi is hated in certain pockets in the southern part of India? Let's get started. We're going to go through a couple of important events that happened over the last 2-3 centuries, and we're going to use this timeline as our anchor point. It's year 1757. That's when the Battle of Plassey happened, and British won and got a foothold, rather a political foothold, for the first time on Bharat. And this war, the Battle of Plassey, completely changed things forever and laid the foundation for British rule in Bharat. I'm going to cut short very much, just providing the important historical events which are relevant for the conversation that we're having, which
This
is
could
understanding.
That's what's funny is like I'm going to cut it very short because this could go on for a long period of time. A full deep dive onto the events that led to this and the outcome of it.
Aftermath of Battle of Plassey. That is when British gained the political power and they're about to get into the governance of parts of Bharat from Plassey. But to govern the country and its people, they need to understand what is the law of the land. And that is where, for the first time, British
Levi, India is developing fast. Sharvam AI had developed many things with government funding, not just an ear translator, but glasses with little speakers. And I have things like that. Ear on side, so it will do live translate. Like I will speak Tamil, and you will hear English or any Indian language or any language in general you want. AI Summit India had showcased many things like these. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stuff that's going to make life easier. The problem is something like that will make it harder in the long run. Will make it harder in the long run to start to get closer to other people. It's funny. I just noticed that all of this in the background. Oh my gosh. Oh my freaking gosh, that is dark. That is really dark. But yeah, it's just because eventually everyone will just get locked into their own language. They'd never bother to expand their mind. They'll, like kids, like in India, like most kids know multiple languages. Like it's almost in the triple digits. Or, sorry, triple digits, double digits in languages that in India most kids understand. Eventually, that'll all disappear, and everyone will just know one language, and it'll all be spoken to them in their ear. And then there's going to be no growing of that side of their brain to learn more languages because there's no need to.
Started to understand, or rather scramble for, what is the law of the land, which is nothing but the Dharma Shastras. Post the Battle of Plassey in 1757, there were multiple attempts by British to understand the law of the land, the Dharma Shastras, like I said. And finally, in the year 1781, for the first time ever, a Hindu scripture is translated into English. And that is called as the Gintu Code. The word Gintu is a highly mispronounced and misrepresented word for Hindu. So basically, they mean the Hindu code. This book, the Gintu Code, is not a direct translation of any one Dharma Shastra of the many that we saw in the previous chapter. Rather, it is a bricolage kind of a translation of multiple Dharma Sutras, which have been practiced back in those days. But this translation attempt was a failure. Couple of reasons, starting with the first one. It's not a direct translation from any Sanskritam text. Rather, it is an existing text in Persian, which is copied from Sanskritam, and from Persian, it is translated into English. So Sanskritam to Persian to English. That is the sequence of translations that have happened in publishing this book, the Gintu Code. Number two, the British could figure out that the people who translated this or helped in this translation, they tried to sneak in their own biases towards their own communities and kind of influence the Dharma Shastras in a very biased way. They could sense that and they dropped this translation.
Sounds
it was a
about
total
right.
failure. It did not serve the purpose. And the main desperation of British to have one book of law is essentially coming from the Christian lens that they are wearing. The medieval Europe is essentially and heavily governed by Bible as the central authority. So that was their expectation in Bharat as well, but unfortunately here we have a diverse set of Dharma Shastras and they are not able to figure out or rather fit everything into one book. So coming to our timeline, the second milestone, 1776, that's when the attempt was started, and finally in 1781, the Gintu Code was published, the first translation of Hindu law. Cut to year 1794. For the first time ever, a complete Hindu Dharma Shastra, the Manusmriti, was chosen as the book to govern the people and the polity in Bharat. By that I mean especially the Bengal region. That's where they got the first foothold. So William Jones translated the entire Manusmriti in the year 1794. What you're seeing on the screen.
I'm not South Indian and I don't support Hindi imposition. It's bad to replace other cultures and languages. That's what colonialism did to us. So every culture, language needs representation. But the thing is, you have to look at it from like a progressive standpoint. Eventually, everyone in the world will end up having communication with everyone in the world. The world's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And honestly, if there was one universal language that the world spoke, then the world would be a much more understanding place because people could always discuss and not have like getting things lost in translation or lost in cultural relevancy or lost in so many little things like that. So there is a massive divide if the world ends up shrinking to the point where people can end up like, I understand people want to always hold on to their culture. People want to always just stay faithful to who they are. That doesn't need to change when a language is introduced. But the thing is, a language would replace the nation's ability to speak. Like there's still tribes of Native Americans in America that speak their tongue. They do. Even though English is the national language, they still speak their native tongue in their communities. It didn't change that, but they have one language that they can learn, and then they can speak their native tongue. Like imagine speaking your native tongue in your community, your village, and then you go on, and all you need to know is one other language for the rest of India. That's literally what it would most likely turn into. So there are positives and negatives. You just have to look at it from the positive point of view to where, yes, we'll have to learn Hindi, but we wouldn't have to learn 20 other languages to talk to every single other state, every single other village. You wouldn't need to.
Is the first ever, I repeat the words, first ever English translation of a complete Hindu scripture, which is Manusmriti. And this is a grand success because William Jones learned Sanskritam. He spent years together learning Sanskritam and he did the translation himself. of course, with the support of a couple of other scholars, but he took the complete responsibility of translating the scripture. And the accuracy was far better and significant than the earlier failed attempt of Gentoo code. Thus, Manusmriti came into existence, into the English world. And another very important fact is, while William Jones learned Sanskritam, he was also performing comparative linguistics. That is, they discovered for the first time that Sanskritam is quite close to many European languages. Thus, also took birth the Aryan invasion theory. His research and inputs started laying foundation for the Aryan invasion theory, which later on was terribly misused across Bharat, and also, not many of us know this, also it gave birth to the horrendous Nazi ideology of the World War II. The foundation is the research of William Jones on Sanskritam that led to all these nasty effects. Not by William Jones, but people who came after William Jones.
Yep, the people who
So coming back
got
to
an
our timeline,
idea in their head.
1794, Manusmriti, translated by William Jones. One law for Hindus assumed. Assumed is the operative word. So what happened next is quite sinister. The foundational research done by William Jones in Sanskritam to English and other European languages was eventually picked up in the year 1849 by A.D. Campbell in context of Telugu language. They started studying Telugu language after Sanskritam. And for the first time ever, Francis White Ellis, this person, he is the first one to propose that the southern Indian languages are different from the northern Indian languages. This north-south
That can't be true. That can't be true. It's all the same. It's all the same.
divide. He is the originator, Francis White Ellis. And first, they tried to break away Telugu from Sanskritam. I've literally given word to word as to what was published back in the year 1849 in a book called Telugu Language. If you read the lines that I highlighted in red, pause it and read, I'll paraphrase them. What Francis is saying is, it is indeed believed that Telugu has its origin from the language of Vedams, which is Sanskritam.
We are getting to a point where we don't need a language to communicate. Like YouTube vids getting translation feature, and it's getting better each day. Exactly. Exactly. I remember the first time I heard that translation feature was like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it was just horrendous. And the last time I heard it was in a Sandman video, and almost one for one, his AI translated voice sounds almost exactly like his Hindi voice. Almost exactly. It's insane. It's insane. So eventually, yes, there will come a time where everyone could just watch things all in their own language. People can enjoy things all in their own language. But eventually, it would be nice to have like each nation have its own language. So that way, someone traveling there or living there can speak that one language, but everyone can still hear things in their own native tongue over time.
And many of the most eminent scholars have given their authority in this opinion. It is very much believed that Telugu originated from Sanskritam. And as you can see, Francis himself says that he had a contrary conclusion, which means, according to him, Telugu did not originate from Sanskritam. This is the theory that he has put forward. And this is what he's saying to support his theory. In common with every other tongue now spoken in India, modern Telugu abounds with Sanskritam words. Perhaps it has greater proportion of them than any other southern dialects. But still, he proposes that the origin of the two languages is altogether distinct. That means there is no connect between Telugu and Sanskritam. Francis makes a very wild and weird proposition that the northern part of India is more civilized than the southern part of India. Third line from the bottom. Telangana had borrowed the invention of a more civilized nation. Telangana means it's an alternative for the same word Telugu as a language. So basically he started carving out.
Fun fact, the verbal script is similar in all Indian languages, but since we used to write on leaves, depending on how to write on leaves without breaking it, birth different ways to write. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would change it, because I think like North has a lot of similarities between the language, because like the language will change and I'll still pick up like certain kind of cadence which sound familiar to Hindi. Like even in like Rajasthan, there's like a feeling that I get when I was there where it's just, I was like, I feel like I understand it, but they weren't speaking Hindi. It was well, Rajasthani. Yeah, that's what they were speaking. Same thing in Punjab. There's a lot of similarities. Of course, I don't understand what's being said, but there's something about how it's spoken that sounds familiar. Like, it's funny. I'll be at my in-laws, and they'll be talking Hindi, and I'm like, oh, I'm understanding a word here and there. I'm getting into it. I'm getting immersed in it, and then boom, grandmother starts speaking, and everyone starts speaking a different language immediately. And I'm just like, all right, I no longer know what's going on. Happens every single time. And grandmother speaks Hindi, but she normally speaks Kashmiri. right? Yeah, normally, because that's where she was chased out of, and so it's like everyone just changes to that, and I'm just like, I don't know how to say that stuff. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then she looks at me and she'll speak Hindi again. And I'm like, oh, okay, finally, now I need to readapt my brain to this. But yeah, it all has some kind of a similar cadence, and like it feels weird when I'm watching like a Southern Indian film because the cadence doesn't match what I've become used to. Like if I watch something that's Punjab or something that's like from the northern areas, it has a different feeling to it than a language that comes from the south.
The northern part of India as a more civilized nation than the southern part of India. In parallel, the Aryan invasion theory is also growing as we speak in the timeline, but we are not getting into that for the moment in this documentary. We'll stick only to the linguistics. So as we progress into the book, Francis proposes that it is not just Telugu alone, but all of southern Indian languages are somehow very much tightly connected. And while they have same origin as those of the north, but they differ greatly. What's the proof, or what is the evidence, or rather, what is the process through which he came to this conclusion? It is not mentioned. It is just his anecdote, or rather, a blind proposition. So as you can read, the languages of the south of India, that is Telugu, Karnata means Kannada, Tamil, Malayala, and Sinhalese, which is Sri Lankan, while they have the same origin of those of the north, which is Sanskritam, but differ greatly from them in other aspects. Yes, there are differences in language to language. Telugu and Tamil and Malayalam and Kannada, they also have their own differences. But this logical grouping of all the southern Indian languages under one umbrella and saying that they are different from Sanskritam, they have no connect with Sanskritam, that is where the biggest fault line is being fabricated. Why is a very logical question. What is the purpose of it? Or what's the motive? You'll get to know in the next couple of minutes. Slowly, Francis brought in the Varna or the caste aspect into this language. As we progress further into the same book, read the first lines that I had it in red. It has already been mentioned that all native Telugu grammars are written by Brahmins in Sanskrit tongue. Basically, he says that Brahmins are the custodians of this Telugu language. They are the ones who cultivated this language, and the mother tongue of Brahmins is Sanskritam. But that does not give enough evidence to prove that Telugu and Sanskritam are related to each other. And then he starts making even more dangerous propositions. He says that speaking the Telugu, the Sudras used very few Sanskritam words. The superior class Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas used relatively more Sanskritam words to show their intimacy with the Brahmins.
Oh, so it's basically like the difference between Mandarin and Cantonese. Those who speak Cantonese in China are seen as of the lower caste, and those who spoke Mandarin were seen as like the upper caste. So it's basically, again, the divide and conquer. You separate people due to their language and make them feel inferior. And then everyone starts believing it when you have 200 years of ruling, of dictatorship, and you can easily convince the population of your belief and believing in that thing.
I mean, this is atrocious. When you speak in any society, any sane society, you just speak a language that each other understand. He's saying that Sudras used less Sanskritam words, and then Vaishyas used more Sanskritam words, and Kshatriyas used even more, and Brahmins were absolutely conversing in Sanskritam. So basically, language on one side and caste on another side is being mixed to create a deadly cocktail. This is how the fault lines are fabricated. Now, very important, I am not at all ignoring the fact that we have caste-based discrimination ingrained into the society of Bharat. Just in case you missed, in the earlier chapters, I categorically have shown, but those fault lines have to be corrected in-house. But here, those fault lines are being misused by someone else from the outside, people like Francis, to cultivate this linguistic fault lines mixed with caste. Hope you're getting the picture. This is how the North-South divide.
They saw something that could be utilized as a weakness and took advantage of it. That's exactly one of the best ways to break a people. You use their own words, you use their own beliefs against them to shatter them, to control them. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And still to this day, India is dealing with the ramifications of it. And the last parting gift that that the Britishers left with India was the partition. Again, the divide and conquer. Because guess what? Nobody knew what Britain had truly done until years later. And now that the world has seen Gandhi as like this great spiritual leader, they've all seen this. Why does the rest of the world not know what's going on? Because India wasn't under one banner, was completely dealing with fighting against its border nation, which was originally a part of India. And it's just, yeah, so it was they divided India before they left, in order to ease their passing and not have any kind of ramifications. Because everyone who caused the harm to India, even the partition, are all gone now. Basically, it's been long enough to where they've passed on. It's insane. It's insane. It's like asking an educated person, can you read Latin? And a normal person the same question and dividing them. Yeah. The question is no. No. Yeah, no. Language evolves for a reason. It evolves for a reason. Yes, there are still those who can speak Latin. There are still those who can read and speak Sanskrit. But at the same time, those languages aren't functional in society. There's a reason why the further we get in our advancement as a society, the less and less we actually use language. If you've noticed that, like we'll shorten words, we'll shorten even entire sentence structures with the BRBs, those kinds of stuff, the text talk, because everybody knows now. It's a way of communicating quicker and faster. We don't want to spend. It reminds me of like the Ents in Lord of the Rings. We don't want to spend days trying to tell the other Ents that the hobbits are not orcs. We don't want to spend a week on that discussion. So it makes sense that society has evolved to a point to where we can speak and get our thoughts across far more quickly than having to. And again, I know Sanskrit had more of a cadence, has more of a song kind of tone to it, right? It's more of the vibrations. It's more of the linguistics and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's still used. It's still used. But the thing is, it's about communication, and communication is key. Communication is key, and we need to get in a situation to where we can actually speak to one another, speak towards one another. Whole communications gets messed with translators. Yes, yes they do. Yes they do. That's why AI is going to be the future.
The language divide, the caste-based divide is even widened by the British. Another way to look at this linguistic comparison is the Brahmins oppressed the Sudras, same way Sanskritam oppressed or overpowered Telugu, thus victimizing Telugu and trying to break it away from Sanskritam. This is the whole idea. So finally, he gets to a point where he says that Telugu is having a different source from Sanskritam, which is a source common to Telugu and Tamil and Karnataka, which is Kannada. So basically, all the southern Indian languages have one common ancestor. Even though it is close to Sanskritam, it is not Sanskritam, but it is something else. What is that something else? He doesn't mention. On what basis he arrived at this conclusion? He doesn't mention. None of these are mentioned. Basically, the idea is, like I said, to break Telugu from Sanskritam and create a separate, distinct identity for the entire southern Indian languages and cut it off from Sanskritam. But they failed miserably. This idea did not fly, and people did not buy this idea that Telugu and Sanskritam are not related to each other. I'll explain you in a very easy way, and then you'll understand it a lot better. This is a shlokam from a scripture called Pancharatra Samhita, quite popular in the Tamil Vaishnavite tradition. This scripture is written in Tamil script, but in Sanskritam language. This is very common in Tamil, Telugu, and Kannada linguistic traditions, that Sanskritam is written using the localized script, which is Tamil
yeah,
script or Telugu
the middle
script
one is
Kannada
familiar to
script.
me. I know it's Hindi.
Jnananandamayam devam nirmala spatikak krutim adharam sarvavidyanam
Yeah, oh, okay, it's written like Hindi.
It is basically a salutation or a prayer towards Hayagriva, an avatar of Vishnu.
Yeah, I recognize the characters.
Primordial guru in the Vaishnavite traditions. Now this is very interesting. Take a look at this. If I break down this entire slokam into Sanskritam words, just word after word, and then try to have equivalent Telugu words, which are normal language, which we use in Andhra and Telangana as of now. This is how the words are.
I think German Shepherd would create such videos, Tamil versus Hindi, Muslim versus Hindu, blah, blah, dividing the country. Yeah, I could honestly believe that. Honestly, I was trying to, the first time I saw one of his videos, I was like, you know what, I'll take it with some faith. And then I found out that he did a video where he was talking about, oh, no, Christians and Muslims absolutely adore idol worship. And I'm like, what's this retard saying? It's like they despise idol worship. yeah, but people utilize that kind of stuff. That's the thing. It's like I try to understand why there are issues and what could be the best future for it, and why like one language is a good thing, and how it can you can still have your native tongue. Like you can look at the United States. Sure, the whole of the United States speaks English. But you can go to like the Native American territories. They still speak word for word their original dialect. And they speak it word for word because since it's no longer the language of the nation, they want to hold on to it even and protect it far more safely. Because if it was like India, its language is getting so bogged down with so many different words, so like Hindi's mixed with so many things because it just has to. It has to upgrade with the time. Now, if there was only one language in India, those languages would immediately get locked down and word for word would be protected because you can't introduce anything new anymore because they need to be protected. Because eventually enough people will branch out, well, unless AI comes in and helps and keeps things protected, enough people will branch out to learn more and eventually introduce new things into the language that end up destroying the language overall. That's just how I see it. That's just how I've always seen it. I'm a Christian too. Yes, Islam is the most dangerous cult, but so what? Look at America. Yeah, the absolutely insane barbarians here. Look at America. Do these Arabs even dare to point one missile there? No. That's the power of high tech. But we have a bunch of morons here. We have a bunch of morons here.
In English, how to pronounce that specific Sanskritam word and also the specific Telugu word. Just pause it and read for yourself. So the Sanskritam words, jnana, is in Telugu.
Yes, I agree. India should have one language. English is enough. If we have 100 plus, it's doomed to make us backwards and always having stupid civil wars. Yes, yes. And eventually the language will degrade over time. They will degrade over time. That's just what's going to happen. Because every young generation will do something different. Because again, the young generation is learning, especially in India, is learning far too many languages. Far too many languages that they start taking shortcuts. If they learn that one household language and then they learn the national language, guess what? That household language will always remain the same. And then they'll speak the national language. At least that's how I see it. Is that like 1-to-1, 100% possible? No, but it does make the most sense.
Its equivalent word is jnanam. Same way, second word, anandamayam, anandamayamaina. Third, devam, daivamaina. Nirmala, nirmalamaina. Spatika, spatikamu. Akritim, akritilo unna. Adharam, adharamai. Sarva, sakala. So it goes on as you can read. Both in Sanskritam and its equivalent Telugu words, the pronunciation is given in English. So, for this Sanskritam slokam, any Telugu speaking person who has reasonable knowledge of Telugu, whose native is Telugu basically, can just understand the Sanskritam slokam without any translation. Because word to word, it's exactly the same as we use it in Telugu. Most of the Telugu speaking people can understand Sanskritam very easily because that's how tightly interlinked or rather derived straight from Sanskritam. Telugu is derived straight from Sanskritam. So this is the reason, no matter how hard the British tried to break away Telugu from Sanskritam, they failed. If we try to remove all the Sanskritam influence, its words and vocabulary from Telugu, there is nothing like Telugu. It is a direct derivation from Sanskritam.
I'm from Bengali, studied in Assamese medium, now English medium, studied Sanskrit, Hindi in school. I never felt once that any language is imposed on me. Why do some South Indians brothers hate Hindi? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think some people just don't want to feel like they're changed, and Hindi, I think, is like the dominant language other than English spoken in India. So it feels like a threat.
And that is the reason British failed to break Telugu from.
Well, yeah. It's also, my wife said, it's also closest to Sanskrit until all the words are replaced with English. Because I still say Gusel Khana when I want to go to the restroom because it's what I learned. And when I'm in India, I want to speak Hindi in the northern areas so that way people know I've put in the effort. But everyone always laughs at me. Yeah, because it was funny. I remember once it was just like that nobody knew where the washroom was. So I talked to the waiter. I'm like, Gusel Khana kitar hai? And he just looks at me all weird. And everyone in the room started laughing at me. I'm just like, what the heck? I'm asking. I do what I got to do.
From Sanskrit. So coming back to our anchor point, the timeline. 1849, Telugu grammar study by A.D. Campbell, separation of Telugu from Sanskritam attempted but failed. After Francis' failed attempt to snap Telugu from Sanskritam, then came a British missionary, Robert Caldwell. He is posted in Bharat to spread Christianity. That is his main purpose. He is also a linguistic scholar. In the year 1856, Robert Caldwell published a book called A Comparative Grammar of the Dravidian or South Indian family of languages. He is the first person to use the word Dravidian in a politico-religious and linguistic sense. As you can read here, the extract where I pulled out what's the rationale that he gave to come to the conclusion of the word Dravidian.
Hindi is kind of a headache to speak, LOL. I can only speak pure Hindi while those people mix Urdu, English, and whatnot. Yeah, I know. Just say bathroom. I don't even use the Hindi word anymore like most people. Exactly. Everyone says washroom. Every single time they say washroom.
He relied on William Jones' Manusmriti to carve out a meaning that all the people towards the southern part of India are called as Dravidians. This is absolutely incorrect. The word Dravida has a different sense and different meaning, but for the moment, let us stick to what Robert Caldwell is trying to do here. In the first paragraph, if you pause and read it, I'll just paraphrase what's written in the first paragraph. Basically, he is using the word Dravida as a synonym to the Tamil identity. This is the first time ever the word Dravida is attributed to Tamil. And towards the end of this page, if you see, the word Dravida could possibly exempt Andhras or Telugu people. Andhra, here I'm referring to the United Andhra Pradesh of the past decade, which is now Andhra and Telangana both. Because the main objective here is to break these languages, the southern Indian languages, from Sanskritam. And they failed with Telugu already. So having Telugu still under this logical group and trying to break it away from Sanskritam is a very difficult task, and they failed when Francis tried, that we have seen a couple of minutes ago. So now the focus is completely shifted on to the Tamil, saying that Tamil is, aka Dravida, has a distinct identity from Sanskritam. Yes, I do admit that Tamil has a very distinct identity. It has a great linguistic tradition, history, heritage, all that is fine. But there is no reason whatsoever to pit Tamil against Sanskritam and say that Tamil should oppose Sanskritam. These are not my words. These are the words written by Robert Caldwell, the Christian missionary who came to Bharat primarily to spread Christianity and also doing research on Sanskritam, our Vedic traditions, Tamil, Telugu, so on and so forth. So here are a few important excerpts from this book written by Robert Caldwell. I just pasted here. Read from the second block. In Tamil, on the contrary, few Brahmins have written anything worthy of preservation. Basically what they are saying is, in Tamil, the Brahmins, they did not make any linguistic contributions in building the language. And Tamil, as a language, is developed by the natives. Flip to the narrative of the Telugu side. In Telugu, they said that the Telugu language has essentially been cultivated by Brahmins, but there the narrative failed. So here the narrative is changed, saying that the Brahmins did not do anything for the preservation or cultivation of this language, Tamil. The last block is the most atrocious one, page number 47. Tamil can readily dispense with greater part or the whole of its Sanskrit, and by dispensing it, it rises to a purer and more refined style. This is the final deadly blow in the north-south divide that we are having today. There are a couple of very important points here to note.
See, you don't say that it's not derived. You say that one is purer than the other. That is how you separate it. That is how you separate it and have them combat. And yes, I read it, like, language is a tool to communicate. Turning it into something else is absurd. Absolutely. It's used as a means of communication, and it should remain a means of communication. It should be better for people to talk to one another. When it turns into like people being savages, like in South India, there were people who were hitting someone for speaking Hindi, assaulting someone for speaking Hindi. It's just like, why? They're probably just there visiting. They're probably just trying to communicate. They're trying to visit and see the beauty of South India, and then you're making it out to be a barbaric place. It's just like a lot of stuff seems to be there to cause divide. Like in the U.S., it's been proven like a lot of the protesters are plants and paid to be there. Well, rioters, I guess, is the correct term. But it's easy to believe that there are plants in India and around the world by not only other nations, but within the nation to help parties win a vote. Because there are probably politicians in India who are running on the fact that, oh, I will protect our state from ever having to use another language. Why? Because a lot of politicians are literally against their own nation. They're willing to do whatever, sell out their own nation, sell out their own people in order to try and win the popular vote. It happens in the US, it happens around the world. Same thing with other nations. We'll have dissenters in a nation in order to cement a downfall or to not promote, like, again, like someone mentioned how India shouldn't focus on its language issue. It should focus on the future of like tech and the future of the civilization as a whole. Yes, exactly. That is exactly what the focus should be. The problem is you target people and make them think about this insufficient, inferior concepts, so that way you can actually target. That way India remains a third world country. Because guess what? India in the past 10 years has been speed running first world problems. The thing is, other nations, and that probably a lot of people in the nation itself, want it to stop. Want it to stop so that way they can keep control. Do I know for sure? No. I'm definitely not a CIA agent. My wife is definitely not a RAW agent. But it's just, that's how I see it from the outside. It looks obvious. You're trying to sow discord in order for someone to remain in charge, and in order for like India to not be a complete powerhouse because it's constantly dealing with these stupid, simple civil unrest issues. Just like how the US is dealing with its own civil unrest issues by funding from like China and other nations who have funded the civil unrest. And there is proof of that. And that's the thing. You always got to be aware of that kind of thing. You always have to be aware of that kind of where that stuff originates from and the reason behind it. I am a Telugu guy, and we Telugu people are most patriot people of India. We never did north-south politics or religious politics. We had many Christian leaders and Hindu leaders and Dalit leaders. Yeah. It just in the end, it's just electing the best people, trying to stay out, just accepting, loving your nation, believing like, okay, maybe having one language wouldn't be such a bad thing. And in the end, it should be like the language is introduced, and it's basically for the majority of classes, it's there. All language is spoken from the state as the same, except for the compulsory language class, where you have to learn the national language. But the state is all taught within the state language. That seems like the best outcome, not where everything immediately changes.
Let me go one by one. Firstly, while this is happening in the south, where Robert Caldwell is publishing this narrative that Tamil is more purer if it sheds away Sanskritam, while this narrative is being peddled in the south, towards the north, Max Muller is translating the Vedas into English. The fact that Sanskritam is a very sophisticated language and it is the stronghold of the religious fabric of Bharat is very well known to the British by then. And here we have a Christian missionary who is writing this kind of literature, pitting Tamil against Sanskritam, to break it away so that the job of the Christian missionaries in the southern part of India can be relieved from the strong support that Sanskritam is giving to the culture of the southern part of Bharat. Don't take this for my word. The reason I'm putting forward all these references is truth should come out. Let me give you a weird example. Just imagine a Shankaracharya or a Pithadipati of one of the four Pithas that we have in Bharat. If one of them writes a book on reconciliation of the four Gospels, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John of the New Testament, and puts forward a theory which is absolutely incorrect, but just to put forward the Hindu ideas, such thing is done. Would anyone trust it? Absolutely no. Then how come a Christian missionary, Robert Caldwell, is publishing this kind of a fake narrative just to frame that with a clear intention to break southern Indian languages away from Sanskritam? And this is taken as the gospel truth. This is the reason why people, I'm not saying everybody, but a significant cross-section of people in Tamil Nadu, and especially the politicians, they hate Hindi not because of Hindi, but the primary hatred towards Sanskritam is given by our colonial masters. And unfortunately, a wide section of people in Tamil Nadu bought this theory. And that is the reason why Sanskritam is...
Because again, it's the issue, everyone likes to be superior and nobody wants to be inferior. It's easy to believe something when you're told you're superior, and you get angry when you're told you're inferior. It's much different than trying to tell them, oh, the proof that you have that you're speaking from the original language is not true. That is completely different than saying, oh, you are the real speakers. You are the real true origins. They're the ones not being the true origins. That is completely different and a better way to separate. An absolutely better way to separate, because everyone likes feeling like, oh, I'm the best. I'm the best. And that's the thing. I know I'm the best because I'm a white man. I'm a white man. Don't look at me like that. My wife gave me a stare. I had to feed that in somewhere. You know, I've been enjoying this. I have to throw in a joke here and there. However, I do believe in my white superiority. Absolutely. Hands down, I am the greatest. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like everyone likes to feel superior, and there's nothing wrong with feeling confident in who you are. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem is it breeds dissent and hatred towards another group of people because they aren't as superior as you. Like all these freaking morons in America who feel like they are so superior because they are white that every single other community is so barbaric they need the white person's helping hand. It is insane. It is insane. How can you literally think you're so superior and yet feel like those people need your help? Because you feel like you're so inclusive, but yet you feel so superior that those other people need your help. It makes no sense. It's so backward thinking. However, I am superior. I'm joking. My wife is rolling her eyes. Don't say all South Indian states hate Hindi. We Telugu people are our own state, never did anything against Hindi. Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, I guess you're talking to someone in chat, but it builds a narrative because enough people cause enough problems that everyone views it with the same brush. Like, look at Islam. Enough people cause enough hatred and enough problems in the world that everyone views it all with one brush. Same thing with Christianity. You can look at all the heinous acts or some of the cults and stupid people out there that you can lump them all with one brush. Same thing with Americans. You look at their open relationships, their wearing basically nothing, and you can paint the whole nation with the same brush, even though that's normally a small select group of people. The problem is a lot of people see the trashy parts or the aggravating parts or because again, social media is designed in a way to keep you scrolling, to keep you clicking, because they get paid more the longer you remain on the site. So it's designed in a way to give you what's going to keep you there. And riling up emotion is one of the best ways to get people invested in something. So you see those emotional triggers more than anything. And then guess what? Because people see those emotional triggers, they view everything with the same brush. That's just how it works. That's just how it works.
Opposed, and that naturally passed on to Hindi. Now, this is the truth. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. I gave all the references. So for interested people, you can do your own reading and research. And for people who oppose saying that, no, I'm some sort of a BJP or whatever right-wing propaganda that I'm doing with this channel or this video, hang on, darling. I have something in the store for you. March 30, 2023. That's exactly a year ago. The Vatican issued a formal apology for justifying colonialism through its doctrine of discovery. From the late 1400s, in Indian context, until 1947, whatever is done with the church. Now, if you don't know what is doctrine of discovery, please educate yourself. It is a very important artifact that shaped up the world the way it is today. And people like Robert Caldwell were sent to the different parts of the world to spread Christianity. And that's exactly what Robert Caldwell did by using this nasty trick.
The thing is like those people who were like religious plants were like evil incarnate. They were there to do something and eradicate a civilization and build turmoil in a nation. The thing is, there's a difference between like those religious plants and missionaries. Missionaries go to basically preach their faith, like Christian missionaries go to preach their faith, but and try to include other people, but not try to degrade. That doesn't always happen, but there is a difference between someone who's literally put out to destroy. And let me see. We Telugu people are not all the same as Tamil people. Coastal Andhra people have more similar DNA as Odisha than Tamil people. Well, I wouldn't know about that. I wouldn't know about that. I mean, I've seen a bunch of DNA videos and like all this Aryan whatever nonsense. It makes no sense to me. The Aryans are aliens, and they're going to come back in a few years. Yeah, mark my words. Even President Obama and President Trump have now said that the Aryan aliens are real. They didn't use the word Aryan, but they did kind of hint that aliens are real. Of course, that's trying to cover for the files that have been released, but it is interesting. It is interesting.
Of pitting Tamil
They're one of the
against
worst
Sanskritam,
people,
thus creating
Tamils.
the Dravidian
I don't
ideology,
know.
the anti-Brahmanical movement, so on and so forth. So coming back to our anchor point of the timeline, 1856, Tamil and Sanskrit
Language
split
extremists.
by Robert Caldwell, the Dravidian identity made against Sanskritam. Cut to year 1916 and beyond that. There is a grand old man called E.V. Ramaswamy, aka Periyar, and he is the father of the Dravidian movement in the south, in the land of Tamil Nadu. I just want to explain about him with one example, one irrefutable example. He wrote a book on Ramayana. Just pause and read this introduction of that book. Ramayana and Bharatam are the foremost imaginary epics of the manifold romances manipulated by the Aryans. Now he is calling Ramayana and Mahabharatam as imaginary epics. I have no problem. To each their own. If you believe them to be imaginary epics, so be it. I have no problem with that. My problem is with the word Aryan. So basically he is attributing Ramayana and Mahabharatam to the imaginative works by the Aryans. Basically, he is the proponent of Aryan Dravidian divisive theory. And move to the next sentence. They are designed, Ramayana and Mahabharatam are designed to lure the Dravidas into their snare, to wipe off their sense of self-respect, to blunt their discretionary faculty, and to destroy their humanity. He's saying that Ramayana and Mahabharatam are the epics written by the North Indian people to subjugate and oppress the South Indian people. In two words, if I have to summarize, mission accomplished. Centuries of hard work of the British started bearing fruit. Indians started hating their own culture. Indians started hating their own fellow Indians. And this man, EVR, aka Periyar, is at the top of the pyramid. I suggest you to pause and read the full cover page here of the introduction to get a hang of what this man is all about.
Okay. The respective heroes of these two stories are Rama and Krishna, belonging to the Aryans and who were, after all, men of a very ordinary type. These stories, again, were foisted that the heroes, their relations, and their helpers should be regarded as gods and superhuman beings and venerated by the people as worthy of being worshipped. A careful and analytical study of the original legends would reveal that the happenings and the events alleged to have taken place are most uncivilized and barbarous. Well, no duh. It was like 1400 BCE. There is no way it was civilized. How can you possibly say that this really, 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 really old story of a battle that happened is civilized? I mean, what the heck? What the heck? I mean, here I have no horse in this race, and I'm even like, what the heck is going on here? Where the heck was I? Oh, uncivilized and barbarous. It is also noticeable that there is nothing useful for the people, especially for the Tamils, to learn and act up to. It is devoid of morals or laudable philosophy. Eventually, these myths are deceitful, written so that Brahmins may look great in the eyes of others. That the women folk be subdued and subordinate, that their Brahmins' dogmas and the code of Manu that are derogatory to the Tamil enforcement into usage and their existence, unwanted existence, externalized. I have no clue what the heck that's all about, because then again, I don't know the code of Manu. I guess that's something completely different. You all would know. And it's the worst Aryan. I mean, I guess Aryan would be the worst thing. The originals of these stories were written in Sanskrit. These enables those Aryans to put their interpretations really imaginary differently and different times to suit the occasions and according to the intellectual capacity of the people in the midst of whom they preached. They call these stories Vedas, and the marvels of the survivors that descended from heavens to redeem the word. They are divine, righteous. I'm going to turn this off. Divine, righteous dogmas, dharma, shastras, that include I'm getting the CL inculcate. What the heck does that even mean? Inculcate, involve. It's funny. English is my wife's like 9th language, 10th language, 20th language, and she's correcting me on it. Involve how people should live. They call these stories the essence of Vedas, the 5th. Yeah. I mean, he's clearly being propagandist. Because the thing is, even I believe like the battles and things that happened took place. Do I believe to the spectacle of like the divine and things like that? No. But do I believe the battles took place and a lot of the stories are based in realities? Yes, absolutely. You don't just create those stories from nothing. Again, they get embellished upon. Look at the Iliad, look at the Odyssey. Those stories get embellished upon that end up people believing it's fictitious. And he was one of those that believed it was fictitious and was like, oh, it was a way to control us. Fun fact, that guy that told all that nonsense and spread Dravidian propaganda and ideology and Tamil superiority is a Telugu guy. Of course. What the heck? Yeah, it's insane.
And to all the people who are followers of Periyar, don't curse me. Instead, get educated yourself. That's what Nehru is saying about Periyar. I don't want to waste time narrating all that. This I just added it for your benefit. And the below one is a copy of the judgment of Supreme Court in the year 1977, banning the book Ramayana written by Periyar because it is absolutely filled with wrong and fake information that essentially created the north-south divide that we are having today. I rest my case. What Robert Caldwell tried to do to pit Tamil against Sanskritam and to pit southern part of India against northern part of India is playing out in certain funny and fringe aspects. On the day of Prana Pratishtha, in certain parts of Tamil Nadu, there were people celebrating Ravanasura Day just to oppose Bhagwan Sri Ram's Prana Pratishtha in Ayodhya. On that day, they celebrated the day of Ravanasura. The British man did all the nasty tricks and we are still falling prey to the same old colonial literature. And the funny part with these people who eulogize Ravanasura is they cannot answer.
Again, the thing is, it's not that they're falling prey to it. They want to be superior. They want to know that they are the original text incarnate. They want to know that they are better than the others. It's just inherent in us humans to want to be superior. Not everyone can be the great white man like me. Everyone has to have their own horse they can back. What? I had to include it somewhere. That's the thing. It's just like everyone wants to. Like there's nothing wrong with being happy with your accomplishments. The thing I have an issue with, again, not everyone can be white like me and amazing like me and just be so powerful in their own aspect like me. No, you have to be confident in the things you complete yourself because everyone wants the easy out. Everyone wants the easy out to be like, yes, I am great because of my genetics. I am great because of my language. I am great when that is all completely non-existent in the argument of who you are as a human being. That's the thing, is a lot of people want the easy win instead of working hard to make something of themselves. And that's the thing. You need to make something of yourself. You absolutely do. You have to find happiness where you are. You have to find strength where you are. You have to build something from scratch because you can't be given everything. And never accept those things that are immediately handed to you. Fight hard for everything you want, because then you'll end up being like a spoiled rich kid who has always had his family's money. I feel ashamed as a Telugu that Telugu people are spreading this kind of nonsense to Tamil people and ruling them, and also the head of Tamil Nadu is a Telugu guy. Of course. Of course. Yeah, it's easy to rule the people who are easily manipulated. It's easy to rule. Oh my gosh.
There are certain basic questions. Knowing a bit of Tamil tradition myself, I put these two questions forward. If Ravanasura was a great bhakt of Shiva and a Tamil king, then why he is not mentioned in the 63
Yes, the penguin
Nayanas
was
of
giving
Tamil
me
Shaiva tradition?
side eye.
Second question. Why is Ravana not mentioned at all in the Periya Puranam, the most important Tamil scripture in the Shaivite traditions? So like this, these people who eulogize Ravanasura, they cannot even answer certain basic questions about Tamil culture itself. On a closing remark, let me say something very important. Over the last couple of minutes, I heavily criticized certain sections of the Tamil people and Tamil Nadu politicians who kind of believe in this Dravidian ideology just because of one reason that is absolutely nonsense and it is not based on truth. But that does not mean I have any disregard for this great culture of Tamil Nadu or the language of Tamil. That is the reason I want to conclude this few minutes on a very high positive note. One of the oldest Ramalayam in the whole of India is present in Tamil Nadu. 1600 years old Ramalayam is present. It's called as Erikadharamar Temple. Tamil Nadu is a land of Pillayar, not Periyar. I rest my case. So that is the last milestone of our timeline, 1916 and thereafter. The anti-Brahmin movement started in Tamil Nadu and Tamil is made against Sanskritam, eventually opening up the fissure of the north and south divide. And this is the reason, Sanskritam is the reason why Hindi is hated in certain pockets in the southern part of the India. This poisonous seed planted by the British during the colonial era has grown into this monster called the Dravidian movement. So if you take a big picture, there are layers to this north-south divide. Initially, it was used for colonization. Then it was used for proselytization, that is the spread of Christianity. And then eventually it is the communist ideology who took advantage of this north-south divide. Year by year, milestone by milestone, fact by fact, I put forward in this documentary so that each of you can do your own reading. Don't take it for my word. Do your own reading and derive the conclusions for yourself. If what I just said over the last couple of minutes is true
Jay.
or some sort of propaganda, you decide it for yourself. So that's about north-south divide in brief with irrefutable facts. What you just saw is the third chapter of a larger documentary called The Dark Side of Brahman. It's a highly essential documentary loaded
Holy
with
crap,
lots
he's got a lot of these videos.
thoroughly researched and presented with facts that you can verify it for yourself. If you're interested in this larger documentary,
Yeah, I might need to check more of these out. Because I like how that was done in a way to where I could even have somewhat of a say. Because I'm in the U.S., we still have Native Americans. My grandmother was Native American. It's just like my father's from Mexico. My wife is from India. I feel like I can have more of a say in a kind of a discussion with this one. Because it feels like, you're having a divide between people because they just want the easy out of being superior. They want the easy out of being superior. Has nothing to do with anything concrete. Has nothing to do with anything solid. It's just wanting to feel superior. This guy makes good videos, very well researched, and nothing embellished usually. Yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward. And he's like, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to find the facts, and because again, everyone has a bias, so he's doing his point of view. His point of view. Oh my gosh, that was really well done. I subscribed to him because this is a 5-part series. It's like maybe I'll need to check them all out. Maybe I will need to check them all out at some point. At some freaking point, because they are informative. Again, I like seeing those types of things every now and then, and that was one of those. I hadn't gone down like the language pipeline before. And the funny thing is this video made me think of aspects like the Native American languages that are spoken, what's happening to Hindi since I'm learning it, and the fact that words are no longer even being used because they just think it's funny how it sounds. I mean, there's tons of aspects to it. There's tons of aspects to it that being on the outside, I could see. I could see it, and I could add things. Yeah. I'm not denying that DMK, don't know who that is, brought a lot of progress, but DMK propaganda and Tamil superiority is stupidity. Again, I don't know who DMK is. I'm guessing he's a politician. Yeah. Again, I don't like it when people run on the platform of, again, which is why I hated President Obama. Vote for me or else you're racist. Yeah, that kind of thing where it's oh, you have to vote for me because... Yeah, it's emotion based. It's emotion based. Yeah, that kind of stuff is just like no, that has no place in politics. That is no place in politics. Arian is speaking exactly how Romelia Thapar would say. I have no clue. Yeah. DMK is a party of Tamil Nadu. Okay. Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, the what is it called? Where you shorten everything to just a few letters. I forgot. There's a word for that. What? It's not abbreviation. It's there's an actual word for it. But yeah, I know India does that a lot. Where they just take someone's name and they'll just put letters to it instead. Like SRK. Yeah, all the time. Nothing wrong with it. She is India's most communist author. I guess that's something. Acronym. Yes. Yeah. No. Is it acronym? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. It does start with an A. Thank you.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait, where's that?